This comes from Shane. Hey, fellas, hope all is well. We were all thrilled Tobias Harris caught fire week 2 of the regular season. He was playing very decisively, pulling the trigger, playing within himself. Not to mention some very sound, if unspectacular defense. It was a topic of conversation, and it showed in both the eye test and on paper. Through the All-Star break, he played excellent basketball. He has tailed off. We don't make too much of a fuss in the middle third of the season because the consistent productivity was there, but he's falling back into some scary habits. Mid-range percentage is falling, indecisiveness from the perimeter, and the productivity is dipping. The second half has dragged his scoring average under 20, and the eye test confirms it. He's not closing games like he did earlier in the year. One of the biggest reasons I had hope for this season was, holy crap, Tobias Harris is actually taking the necessary leap forward to all-star levels, and executing his role in the offense could be legit, but it's evaporating on us. How nervous are you that we're getting a diminished version of Tobias heading into the playoffs? And what does it mean for our championship hopes if we get a 7 of 16 from the field, 17 points, 0 free throws kind of Toby?
I mean, I guess I just disagree. I think there was an alarming game. I think the Pelicans, neither Ben nor Tobias took a free throw, right? That was the game? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's bad and alarming.
Yep.
And that will happen sometimes. But I think on a whole, broadly, his numbers before the All-Star break and after the All-Star break are the same. 31 games before the All-Star break in 34 minutes per game versus 28 games after the All-Star break at about 31 minutes per game. And the numbers are almost identical. 51, 40, 89 before, 52, 40, 90 after, 27.5 and 3.4 assists, and 19, 6, and 4. It's like, it's basically the same. I think that
I'm actually surprised looking at it.
Seeing how exact it is. I think it's a team that knows how to get points, knows how to get their offense. I think they occasionally go through stretches in the mud, but and against bad teams, I think they occasionally will play down to their competition and be distracted. And they've won 8 in a row, right? It's 8.
Yeah.
And that's nice. There's been things to be, upset about, and I would say Tobias certainly isn't shooting as many threes as I would like. But that is how he goes. He gets that's been happening, I think, for aside from the first little stretch of the season. He's been taking fewer, but he's still hitting them at a good clip and getting to his spots, and I think he's been and has been very continuously solid on defense when he's engaged. But I think against bad competition, the last some of the games, there has been a little bit of it's fine.
So I would have told you that the numbers weren't so similar pre and post All-Star break, but you're right. There's a noticeable difference in May compared to April. I'm just looking at the splits right now. April, he was just as efficient, just scoring 17 rather than 22 a game, but only 27 minutes as opposed to 33.
Yeah, they've just had opportunities to sit entire fourth quarters a lot.
But here's the one thing that you mentioned that is very clear. So all of these months have the same amount of games. January has 13, but every other month has 12 for his games played. 63-point attempts in January, 40 in February, 32 in March, 28 in April, and would be on pace for another 28 in May. He has 13 in 5 games in May. It seems actually as he got more comfortable, he was shooting them less at his height, sort of in the middle of the season there. But, he's just not super comfortable shooting a ton of threes, and that's just who he is.
And I think especially as Doc tinkers with the lineup to try to find opportunities when either Ben or Tobias will be out there at a time, so there will be a decent amount of stretches when they're not sharing a court together, and Tobias doesn't have to just be more of a floor spacer. I think that'll continue, but when they're out there together as starters, I do think that he's going to need to just let it fly, because there's still too many times, over the course of a game when it's, okay, we're trying to really delicately get a post pass into Joel from 21 feet out. And it's just someone's holding the ball, looking at it for a while, and it just slows everything down. And I think part of that is just running out in transition, and I know that they like Danny and Seth hoisting threes early in the shot clock before the defense is set. I would like Tobias to be that guy too. He does it occasionally, not as often as I'd like, but yeah, I mean, this is just who he is. But the version of Tobias that is, last year it was frustrating that he wasn't taking these threes. This year he's still not really taking them as much as we want, but he's so much more efficient in other areas of the game that it makes it easier to swallow.
Yeah, I think the one like Tobias stuff, and he hasn't. In fairness, it really hasn't been a lot of him this year. That was happening with the Clippers. It was working during the regular season. That I just don't think flies in the playoffs. Is that sort of like pick and roll with him as the ball handler, sort of working his way around the perimeter, sort of thing. But it's been much more, to my eye, much more ISO into that 15-footer than like that long, 10-second, 8 to 10 second long pick and roll that I just think it doesn't play in the playoffs, really.